Hello and welcome everyone to the 354th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, November 12th, 2020. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond. I'll be a host today. And of course, as usual, you guys can definitely hear in the background, we have Mr. Mayran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, eager and ready to go with today's teaching and knowledge of the universe. Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Morning, good day to you, as usual, whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers of the Keshe Foundation. As part of the knowledge seeking, we seek more knowledge to understand more, and in one way or another, in the past few months, we have taken a new course. As we release more knowledge in a way of the universal level, and not on the matter level of the mankind, we come and we encounter new ways of using our own physical body. As it was said, I made man in the image of myself. So, in fact, up to now, we knew about the man, the physicality of the man, and the emotion of the man. And as in teaching of the past, we always said, in the universal level, as is made in the image of myself, means there is more for man to know, more about his own creator, more about how his creation has appeared, and what is the connection between what he has in the physical dimension and what he has had all the time in the dimension of the strength of the soul. In a way, we have one common ground with a translator or converter or inverter. That is the brain of the man. And what we start teaching is what happens, what other knowledges are available to the soul without or before is inverted or converted, that the soul of the physicality of the man can translate it for the physical body of the man to live by. In the past time, we had the prophets in any shape or name or form. And in that process, they always taught the man the process of understanding in a physical condition and what was something in the background that he was controlling it all. We call it the soul. We call it the Holy Ghost. Anything we wanted, we attached name to it. But in fact, without confirming that it's part of us. And if we understood that what is made in the image of myself is, as we said, we know 5 of the emotions, 6 of the emotions. Happiness, joy, sadness, whatever. Now we understood in the past few weeks, there is the emotion of presence. There is the emotion of understanding, of transformation and transition in any dimension. There is a knowledge which is now is part of us. We have to elevate to understand more about our soul, to understand the 2 new emotions which we have introduced, which is common to us. Now we understand it, now we have to achieve it. One of the most important emotions of the man is the emotion of knowledge. You're born in our DNA, we take shape, we get constructed according to the environment that we live in and becomes our structure. Then the interaction of the collection of the fields of what makes us to interact with the environment, we call it the soul of the man. And this is what the man has been. Now we touch the soul of the creator of the soul of the man. What was created out of and led to his creation. And in that process, as we have the DNA of the physicality, now with the new understanding, we understand the DNA of the soul, the structure of the soul, the knowledge which sits behind its creation. The soul is not created on its own. It's a collection of the knowledge of the universe in one thing. How to position itself, in respect to every other field in the universe. So he has a knowledge. And if one understands, becomes easier for mankind to reach the new level of elevation of the soul, understanding the dimension in the universal condition. What does this mean? It means within DNA, within RNA of our soul is the knowledge of the universe. We do not need to go to school. We do not need to go and put every cell of the man to become the cell of the eye, to be this color, to be that color. Because collective efforts of whatever our ancestors have put together in the dimension of physicality and the environment which we are born, we are preset to look Chinese. We don't get born as brown or black or blonde or white skin in China and then we change to become a Chinese looking. All is preset for our genes, for where we're going to be born, physical dimension, and our take, the intake of the knowledge gives us the shape of the Chinese. Or what we understand now is the same is for the soul of the man. But this time the soul takes the shape, the form of the universe. And the knowledge we carried to be physically in the shape of a Chinese or European now is carried in the soul of the man, which means the soul has a shape, has a dimension, and has integral part that it remembers all the knowledge. How we remember when we are a certain age, we have to start moving. How we crawl at a certain age, we start speaking. At a certain age, we start thinking. At a certain age, we start communicating. And we choose the language just because we are born in a community of the same language. Now our soul is the same. I made man in the image of myself. But the image of the soul is representative and in the totality manifestation of the soul of the man in the universal community. How they see you. You have two lives, one in a physical dimension and one in the dimension of the soul. And now that inherent RNA and DNA of the soul of the man is what we start opening up. That the mankind understands the truth about himself. The truth about what capabilities he has that he didn't know. And one of them, as we said, was the emotion of the presence. Today we talk about the emotion of knowledge. Which means when mankind elevates to the position of peace and understanding that become part of universal community, he realizes he has access to the most vast amount of information about the universe. Because it's been put in there. It's always been there, but we did not know how to tap into it. In this way, with the knowledge of the universe, mankind does not need a school, does not need a prophet, does not need a guide, because the knowledge of the universe, how it is, how you interact, how you know where fields there are, you know where, in which part of the universe there's a problem not to come, not to be, or avoid, or to be. Therefore, as within our RNA and DNA, we carried the memory and the information of our ancestors. We don't touch certain things or we don't do certain things. In the memory and the bank of the RNA and DNA of the soul of the man, now we get access to the knowledge of the universe. What this means, it means man is much more intelligent if he decides to take the path of the soul. This is that what we call the day of judgment. This is the point where we decide to judge, to understand that we want to change the point of physicality to the point of the transformation and communication and the life of the soul, detached from physicality, where even in the dimension of the soul, you're still attached, but in a bigger dimension into the universe and universal community and collective field forces of the creation. But within your soul, you know exactly where you are, You know exactly what position you have. When you become dimension of the soul of the man, it's like you are member of a family. You know your room. You know your place on the table when you sit. You know when to speak and you understand the structure of the totality, but you are part of totality. And now, this is where we take mankind to the knowledge of the universe. And this knowledge is within the soul of the man. And no one can tell you, I can show you, I can do this for you, I'm a prophet, and whatever. We don't have prophets when there is no money to take to be profited by. And in this process, we become all knowledge seekers. We seek knowledge of the universe, we seek knowledge of the creation, and once we learn instantaneously in what we analyze, become the knowledge of the totality. In a way, our knowledge is transparent. In a way, our knowledge is accessible to every created being in the universe. And there is so much knowledge, so much beauty, so much information that in a way we hardly move because the adjustments are fine. The knowledge is so finely tuned that we continuously receive it. It's like an information bank. And in that bank sits the heart of the soul of the man. So many of you will ask what we'll do when we go to the dimension of the soul. At that point, the soul is knowledgeable, is omnipotent. In that point, the soul of the man is unique and has access directly through its structure of the fields to the creator, as itself is part of his creation and creator is part of him. This is why in the scripture says, if I tell you how beautiful the other side is, you all commit suicide. Which means you don't accept the dimension of the physicality as it's the prison and the barrier for you to reach the ultimate goal. Not that you want to run, but you want to be part of a bigger structure. You move out from the village of the earth to the dimension of the universal community. In so many ways, once you understand this, then you choose your soul where to manifest itself and where to be and where to be connected to. Who and where to be part of, and what to love, and what to give, and what to take. In so many ways, the knowledge of the universe, which become the knowledge of the man, has been hidden from the man up to now, as he could not handle the truth, the understanding of the totality. And from now on, not only for mankind, but for all the creatures of the universe, this become open at the point of inception. But there is one criteria to it which needs to be done. The first, as we say, sample needs to be made that the rest can be copied off. Creation in 2 dimensions of physicality and the soul in 1, that both are aware of. And this process will take place in coming months, that mankind will move into new dimension. In a way, the intellect of the universe will become the intellect of the man. In so many ways, it means man will be given the library of the knowledge of the creation from the tongue and the time of the creation. Everything the Creator knows is accessible to man according to the strength of his understanding and the strength of his devotion to the creation and to the Creator in trying to serve and give from. That in the elevation of the soul, mankind or the soul of the man reaches more understanding of totality. And sometimes there is a need to make what we call collective adjustment. And this is the time for collective adjustment, that the totality of the soul of the man moves in one direction and in one dimension. We think We know the knowledge because we have to think. What we have learned to add to the knowledge. When from then on, when it's born, has access to all the knowledge, every information. And this way, this is how it has been for many creatures and many, many, many times across the universe. If one race reaches the point of maturity, the knowledge has become available to all that creatures of that point and time. It's very much now like a computer. Everyone, according to their understanding, can use it. Where 20 years, 30 years ago was something in the realm of fancy. Now we live through it and because of it. And it'll be the same. We live through the soul and use the physical body of the man or the physicality to manifest where we are, how we would like to be. Many of you in coming time will access the soul of the knowledge of the creation, and you can determine your own features, your own manifestation. You might want to change, but you'll find out you'll go back to the origin, because this is the way you became. This is the way you become from the totality to a part of the totality. In a way, if you were black skin and brown eyes and you always wanted to be blonde and to be blue eyes, that will be given to you through the knowledge of your own soul. But would you like to be the only blonde blue eye in the family of the black in Central Africa, where you think you have a privilege, but you find out you lose the love of the others and you return back to, but you know you have the capability. Having the capability and understanding does not mean mankind in the level of his soul will use it, but what he'll do with it to create and enlighten himself, he can use it to elevate the others. The knowledge has to be the way I thought for years. Free, as I know, when I give the knowledge, is accessible by all the creatures of the universe. This is why in my teaching I always refer, I don't only teach to the man, but I teach to the universe. Maybe for the first time you understand why. As a soul, I'm connected to every created soul in the universe, and my knowledge becomes their knowledge. And you hear in the voice of the man, they see and they feel in the magnetic field energy of the thoughts. Then mankind become wise to one point. Why do we choose to manifest ourselves in the dimension of physicality the way we are? As I said many times, places like Earth are the nurseries of the creation of the seeds of the galaxies and the stars. Now you understand why. This is the point when you reach in that point of the strength of the soul, then the position by the soul has agreed on which table you sit at, in which part of the world you'll be, that you'll be the most effective and beneficial to the totality of the creation in the universe. Up to now, you became a doctor to be useful in a hospital on this planet. Now in the dimension of the soul, you become the soul in the position that allows the other souls to prevail and to be given to be enlightened, and to be the position that you become the most effective in the condition of the creation for the rest of the souls. Is not sacrificing, is finding the position to be able to be part of elevation of the others. Detachment. Detachment from the knowledge. Detachment from financial things. Detachment from physicality. Physicality in the finance and everything else which man has got himself attached to is the doing of the man on this planet. Does not exist outside. Is not part of the creation. Is what we call local ritual. In a way, mankind has decided we play with papers and we do this and that and we give ourselves a title. You remember when you were children and you played games and somebody was a mom and somebody was dad and somebody was a driver and somebody was something else? This is what mankind has been doing for past years with himself. And now we have opened the door of the knowledge of the universe. This way, no man can be fooled and no man can claim anything more than to be a knowledge seeker of the universe. To seek knowledge, that with that knowledge he leads to elevation of the soul of the others by loving, by giving freely in that dimension. Now you understand why we call ourselves messengers and not prophets. We just teach you the message. We just bring you the knowledge that with it you find a way not to elevate your own soul, but to elevate the other souls, that through it, through the correct conduct, your soul might be enlightened. That you find a position at the table of equality and peace in the universal community. Then you find out in this process there shall be no kings and there shall be no president and there will be no bosses, because you give according to your own strength, to the best of ability of what you carry in the essence of the fields of the universe, to the others, not just one. That totality finds elevation to the dimension of understanding the process of the creation and the path to the creator, which at the end is me to be part of as I am to be of. In this process, mankind is need to reach to that point. And this is the purpose of the teachings in a coming time. The emotion of the knowledge of the creation, the knowledge of the universe. Unfortunately, in the universe, as we don't have no courts, no prisons, no judges, no teachers, and no school. This is why the process has been set this way, that by learning through the work of the universe, by sharing through the soul, man constantly and everlastingly is updated with the information as he needs, he can access to. You learn mathematics 1 + 1 in the first years of the school, but at the end of your PhD or whatever, you still use it because it's in somewhere. You have to know how many grams of whatever you add to the another, what gives you in weight. So that's with the soul of the man, the elevation of the soul of the man, that now the mankind carries the basic knowledge, and how he wants to access to it is how he devotes his soul to be part of, for other souls to elevate themselves, to find more that through their strength he becomes stronger, and with it he can serve more. Detachment from physicality, detachment from bondage of what could be that entrap the soul of the man. Maybe the knowledge seekers will start understanding more as they understand about the knowledge of the creation, not through a teacher, but through their own soul, through the creation of their own, through understanding that they always had it, but they didn't know it, and now it's time to do. The problem with mankind is, in a way, the fear to open that door to enter in a bigger dimension. Fear of unknown. What we call the day of judgment. Because it's us who has to judge, am I ready to go? Do I know enough within the structure of my soul that I can go through the transition? And at the same time, I can have access to where I come from. The knowledge of universe will allow you to do this. That the fear of the man goes away, that I have to die to go. But what is going to happen to the mankind is very simple. I have access to universal knowledge, and I have access to the knowledge of physicality of this planet, this earth. How can I use this knowledge from the beauties and attributes of what is within the physical dimension up here to add to the soul of the universe, to add to the knowledge of the universe. And this is what the mankind has to learn. You're not born to eat and do whatever and just at one point to die. Without you knowing, and in the process of your learning in the dimension of physicality, and what your brain filters that it doesn't become clogged up in the soul, you add to the knowledge of the universe. How mankind learned to make computers has been added to the knowledge of the universe without mankind knowing. How you have come to understand how logically to make the most beautiful sculptures is become part of the knowledge of the universe. So in fact, mankind has never been alone. You were not aware that what we say in English, you have a spy in a cap. What does this mean? It means whatever the mankind, doesn't matter as a peasant to a president, learn in the dimension of the soul is added to the soul, to the information, to the knowledge of the universe instantaneously. There is no waiting time. There is no time that later on I upload the information when it comes. And now you understand how mankind in every level has been always part of the knowledge of the universe and part of the knowledge of the Unicos. But now you're told, you learn how to cook. You learn how two things in the pan you mix will give such a thing with a pleasure creates you. That pleasure and that knowledge becomes the knowledge of the universe. If I want to tap into it, I can. From now on, mankind will find out that there is no need for what you call computers, hardware and software, because everything is in one. In the coming days and weeks, as we said, in the research centers, we start showing you these. That you can see, you can go through the transition to see, as you call, the other side. In a way for man to be able to see his soul, for man to be able to appreciate and confirm his own existence. And in that process, man will always be given a chance by his own physical soul to choose the time, the place, and if he wants to change dimension of physicalities. In many times, many of you have heard about people who live hundreds of years, the nomads of this planet, because they have found access to this. They don't need to. They know by traveling the span of this planet, they can add more to the knowledge of the universe, and they choose so. The knowledge they carry and they gather becomes part of the, not only the soul of the man on this planet, but the part of this information and knowledge of the Unicos. Then you understand there is no time in the life of the man. Physical dimensions in access to the soul can be changed. But do you want to change? Do you want the wisdom? Or do you see in that process what you will do will add to the knowledge of totality? That you take that path. Then does age have any meaning? Or the love giving becomes the main purpose of the life in any dimension in the universe. Then you understand when he says, I'm made man in the image of myself. I'm the lover and the giver, and so is the man and the soul of the man. We just don't take part, we take the totality from all. In so many ways, mankind has entered a new dimension. In the dimension of recognition of two cycles of life simultaneously running together as part of his own creation. Goes back to my teaching from day one. I always said, the physical body of the man is a leech on the soul of the man. Now maybe you understand why. You've seen the little animals coming from one point and taking shelter in the leftover physicality of the another animal, and they walk around as they are the other animal? Doesn't man do that? Takes a bear, takes a cow, takes the skin, and he puts it on himself. Inside the man, outside a cow, a bear. But does that clothing of the bear or the cow makes the man to live and think what the skin is wearing? Or is it just a cover to protect him from the matters of the environment? Now mankind reaches that point to let this skin, what we call the physicality, to be taken off. But knowing is there, it can put it back on to manifest itself. In so many ways, you become visible by the dimension of accepting the skin that becomes the face and the body of the man. And other times, you want to be the part of the universe. You don't want to be shown and be part of the physicality of what you show today here. You want to be in any planet or any position in the universe. Now you have to understand how to tap to that knowledge. And then if you understood it, then you understand the emotion of the presence and the place. The emotion of knowing how to manifest yourself in what position, understanding the position of the universal energies which is within the soul of the man and is the outright rights of every soul given at birth. Up to now, every creature and creation except the creator had to choose one, had to be part of one, to be in the dimension of the soul or in the dimension of physicality, entrapped by the soul. From now on, we have elevated the soul of the totality of the universe to have access to have both, that there is no conflict and there is no position for misconduct. Then, with what we call, as we go for driving with a new car, you're taught how to drive, the enhancement units and the systems like this, which will come out of the Keshe Foundation, will give you more insight, shows you, trains you how to go through the transition, how to be able to trust that you can live in both dimensions. Many of you, when you enter the enhancement unit, you will see both. And then you choose. In so many ways, the new enhancement unit is where you are given the access to the knowledge of the universe, even though you look at what it does with your physical dimension. It's you, by going in, who will understand, do I want to be in what position and in what essence of physicality? Many of you, once you go into the enhancement unit, will come out totally different person in behavior, in dimensions of understanding of the knowledge and access to the totality. Because then you find out you have exchanged the soul of physicality for the soul of universe, where the soul of physicality becomes the jewel in showing itself. How can you show something when there is no dimension of physicality or essence of the feeling of it? Then you will show yourself as a jewel in the crown of the knowledge. Does not matter what that knowledge is. No knowledge in the knowledge of universe is insignificant. Everything is respected, everything is valued, and every man, every creation, every creator, every soul is equal. In the coming time, as the evolution of the technology for man to be able to go through this transition is getting completed, in the time to come, we'll show you the path. The way that you decide in what level mankind, as a person, as a man, in the living thing decides the future of itself, not in the society of the man, but in the society of the Unicos. And this is the whole purpose of all these teachings. To show the man to find a way, the correct way, to find his path to salvation of his soul, to be servant to totality. Nothing more and nothing less. We teach freely because we are not afraid of our knowledge to be stolen. We give it to the totality that by understanding it, they serve the others. Those who think they can steal or they have stolen, they'll find out that's exactly what they lost. As I always said, do you take money or anything from anyone at the value of, let's say, €1, where you know you have to pay €3 for your misconduct? A fool does that. You cannot lie, you cannot hide. And as I said, you ask, you are given. Because in that process, every arrangement has been made for the soul to receive what is being asked for, if it's there to be given and accepted to be given. Does not matter what you do. As once it's accepted, the path is set to reach to that point. As you see, you charge a magnet and you put it in the middle of other magnets. Depending on its charge, it chooses its position amongst the other magnets. And this is what it is. You give it a charge, you accept. Now everybody else, every other soul has moved to accept that position. And this is what the mankind will come to understand in a short while. That mankind is too physical and needs to be shown a path to be part of the totality. To be, in essence, the point of the creation and freedom of his soul. The only people who will object to this are those who call themselves simply men of religion. Because they know the time and the term is over. They've done the job. They brought the man to the point of maturity. And from now on, is for mankind to become mature to the truth. In so many ways, mankind needs to understand the position he's taking in respect to his soul and to his physicality. The maturity of time, the maturity of the essence, the maturity of the totality, the maturity of being wise to use and to be part of the wisdom of the man. And then to be part of the wisdom of the universe. Mankind is not alone. Never been. It's time to mature. It's time to understand totality. And in so many ways, it's time for mankind to choose. Does he want to be at home on earth? Or would he like to be part-time, part of the universal community and travel the spans of the universe? To see, and the way you charge your soul is where your soul will find position to be part of. You cannot parachute in. You elevate your soul, that in that process of finding new position takes you to what you want to see. Then you understand the emotion of presence and the emotion of knowledge. The emotion of what we call traveling in through the span of the universe, through the emotion of the knowledge and emotion of presence. And in that process, with the knowledge you have, you can manifest yourself anywhere, in any point. Do you need to work to live, to survive in that dimension? Again, depends if you want to be part of that society, the way they live. Or you become passengers of the universe, traveling the span of the universe with no need to work, no need to spare time in doing something which is not pleasant to the physicality. This is why in the coming time, you'll find on this planet massive unemployment, because people do not want to do anything, because they have access to everything in the universe and they want to be travelers of this planet, to enjoy, to become the tourist through their soul, not through airlines. Maybe the new corona with what has come out is the best thing for mankind. Airlines grounded, but the man still wants to be across with the lover, with the child, across the world, with a mother or a father. And that transition can be done. But that point of transition has to be accepted by the other side for it to reach it. And at the same time, it cannot be blocked, it cannot be avoided, it cannot be resisted. As the claim of totality counts. Those who do will be punished with their own devaluation of their own soul. They will not be elevated and they will stay at the same point. Everything has to be covered in according to the essence of the correct conduct. To give, to take, to find a perfect position for everyone at the same time. In so many ways, the knowledge, the emotion of the knowledge and the presence becomes a gift to mankind for it to travel the span of the universe. Maybe now you understand. This is the third emotion in past weeks we have opened to mankind. And there is nothing more than the emotion of knowledge. It means you have to tap into it. It means you have to be able to reach it through its own understanding. And through understanding of the soul of the physicality, as you come to a new dimension, you have to accept, if you want, even in the dimension of the soul, what we call the emotion of presence, the emotion of the knowledge. At the same time, that with the knowledge, my presence is not harm to others and is a cause of the elevation of the others. Maybe mankind is ready to move. We think another 12 months, 18 months on the man's time will bring man to maturity. We have ended the kingship, and very soon, sooner than you think, mankind will finish with leadership, as the failure in one leader opens the eye of the totality that there is no need for people to lead and take mankind to the verge of destruction. Then our mission starts to accomplish itself, to give the man the freedom of knowledge, that the man moves from the dimension of physicality to the dimension of the existence of the universe. Everything has to come exactly to the same point, and all is being preset. No one can change the destiny of mankind. That you, as you remember, always said, if we force you, you go back to it. But if you choose, you stick to it. We're just about to see one of the final scenarios of this game, where the man will distance himself from any leadership. The scene is set. And in time, as it's done with the kings, will be done with the leaders. and man will all be equal in the dimension of understanding the knowledge of the universe, and superiority and priority of one soul to another will be as if you want to gain more knowledge, that you know more, and by being near you, I take from you as a weaker soul to elevate myself to understand more in much vaster way. Transfer of knowledge through understanding of the fields of the universe, understanding the process of the transformation and transition of the souls and the plasma, where the stronger always gives to the weaker, the one of the more knowledge and acceptance and positioning your soul will receive more. Then we seek for those who are light in a deeper dimension than ours, and we recognize them as to be the higher knowledge enriching the inner soul of the creation, and we want to be part of. This is why in most of the teachings I always say the members of the Universal Council will be known by their light and not by their physicality. Now you understand why and how we have taken shape into this, and we taught you step by step. As I said many times, walking on the street, you might see the body of the man, but on soul, you understand, is a member of Universal Council, as is enlightened, and is there to give unconditionally to serve mankind. Now you understand. As they are more enlightened, you want to be there to receive from them. They become the point of transition, as they themselves, being of the lower to the higher, receive more to be able to give. The position of the Universal Councils, appointed on this planet, chosen by the soul of the man himself, is one of the ultimate goals and the points of entry of mankind into the universal community. Because we feel our emotion, and we speak our emotion through the languages of the man. So we have chosen the Universal Council members by the language and not by race and color. Now you understand how correct the whole structure of the Keshe Foundation from its base to the top has been set a long time ago. But you've been guided step by step to go through it, for you to understand and for the future to understand the totality. In so many ways, Universal Council members have access, they have opened their souls to the dimension of the universal knowledge through their soul. And those who abuse have left. Abusing the soul of the others as members of Universal Council is the only time that you lose your position through your own soul and through your own misconduct. Members of Universal Council have to understand they have access to something that the other members of the humanity strive to get to, and at the point of the transition and connection and no more. And when you become too arrogant, you lose the connection. In a way, the line is lost. When you see a member of the Universal Council steps down and is not there to serve, it means they have reached that point for their souls not to receive. They might come back, but then they might be wiser to be, but it has to be understood. Universal Council members are the stepstone between the soul of the man and the soul of universe and university of the what I call knowledge of the creation. If mankind or any soul does not manage to get access to understand the work of the universal knowledge, mankind will stay in what we call the village of their own existence. Does not matter if it's the earth or any other position in the universe. Any question?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kesh. As usual, I remind the attendees you can raise your virtual hands and we can allow you to speak. I see that Swetoslav has a hand up here, so go ahead first.
Thank you, Rick. Hello, Mr. Kesh. Hello to everyone. I am Svetoslav from Bulgaria. Last week, we have an interview in big magazine about the technology, and we talk a little bit about the corona. And I was thinking, do you want to give some interview or some text so we can put in the article? Hello? Hello?
If it needs to be, speak to the Keshe Foundation, please, they decide. Write to the Keshe Foundation office and they will respond back to you. And if there's any need to how to be done, we'll follow.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. I have stepped down as running of the Keshe Foundation. So these things has to be considered by the management of the Keshe Foundation, the head of the Keshe Foundation, how to collectively decide as a what we call uniformity of the condition. Before, I used to decide and do. Now everything has to go through the channels, as I've gone back to research and development of the systems for you man to be able to reach the universal community and understand the position of his soul. As I said, I've stepped down slowly. I've taken my position as a knowledge seeker. But at the same time, as the founder of the foundation, still be there to guide. All these matters has to be referred to the Keshe Foundation. And it's the decision of the management of the Keshe Foundation and the head of the Keshe Foundation how it will be done that is unison.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We've got a question in the Q&A here from Galeb, who says, it was narrated from the prophet, peace be upon him, that, quote, I am the city of knowledge, and Ali is the key. Ali, or all is, Ali is the key. How can we interpret
this? This refers to bless his name, Muhammad, and Ali, his cousin, who became the head of the Shia sect of the Islam. Carry on. Okay,
thank you. How can we interpret this in light of what you've said about the knowledge being in the RNA? How can a good Muslim use this knowledge?
A good man has no religion and no faith. Does not matter if you're a good Muslim or a good Christian or a good Jew or a good Buddhist or whatever. In so many ways, in accepting the position and the condition by the color of the name and the skin, we have already limited our own acceptance of the totality. How can you be a good Christian or how can you be a good Buddhist when you actually only have to be a good soul? Do we like the color of red or blue or yellow or whatever? Which color is the best color? It's all color, depends on what and how we look at it and what is our preferences. This is how, by giving names, they have separated the soul of the man from the others. Give it the name of the color of religion. But in fact, it has to be all, not just a Muslim. The question should cover how can to be a good soul, not a good Muslim or good Christian. These divisions has to be buried by man before man will be able to enter the dimension of universal community. Where you have a division in understanding of the color of your soul, how can you be part of totality which has no color and is total? These divisions are made to control the essence of the soul of the man to the path where those who created the vision of the soul itself. The prophets came to show the path. They didn't come to divide. And this is what mankind has done. Divide himself in the color, race and religion. It's not done by the Creator. Any other question?
Caleb goes on to say, that's the point of my question, of course. Muhammad was sent to all creation. Allah said, if it was not for you, I hadn't created the universe. To the Prophet, we want unity.
Do we have unity in Islam? Islam become unified when they understand the truth about the knowledge which we have brought, for all to be equal and the same. The Islamic leaders, Christian leaders, or any other path of what we call belief will succeed in their mission when they all confess and confirm to unity of one. The elevation of the soul of the man and no more.
Okay, we have two of our attendees with hands up here, Marinez and Gatwa. Marinez, I think you were first, so go ahead.
Hello, hello everybody. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Thank you for giving us the wish to go to space, because we were always afraid when we go there, how do we know the problems? And now you solve that problem, which it's in us to find out where there's a problem in space. Thank you very much. Secondly, I'm just so emotional talking to you. Secondly, to my friend who asked about the hadith. Hadith means the things which they say that Prophet has said. And now these days, people have found that the true Muslim is an open Muslim that knows the Quran, and Quran accepts all religions and all the books written at the end of Surah Al-Baqarah, the chapter of Kahf, that Prophet believed in all prophets, in all books, and what God has showed to him and angels, and there's no difference between them, between the books of God, between the prophets of God, and it continues. So that's the true essence of Islam, which is written black on white. We have to accept all religions of the book and no difference. So a good Muslim is somebody, for me, who knows the message of Prophet, which is the Quran. Message of Prophet is only Quran. And then Hadith and all that, if it doesn't certify Quran, doesn't go in this sense, this has been created by others. Secondly, in Quran says, O Prophet, to Prophet, they ask you about the soul. You answer them, the knowledge of soul is with God. God has the knowledge of the soul. So Prophet didn't answer, I have the knowledge of the soul. It's the matter of God. or Allah. And that's it. And the problem is people don't, in Islam, all of the sects of Islam, I've communicated with most of them, they don't understand the real message of Quran, the spirit of Quran, and they go more to their culture, what they have been learning. And then I think with the intellectuals in our religions, we have to start to the essence of Islam and open to all. I know a person who has learned Hebrew to find out about Torah. He has started to learn Aramean to find out about Jesus. That's the true Islam these days, that at the same time they know there's science and economy and politics, and they go and are curious to understand other religions, to understand them better. And that's the only way we come together with brotherhood. So you are exactly on the line of all of these messages, true messages. And thank you very much.
What do you call a religion? What is religion to you?
For me, religion is something which is relating me to whatever I looked for before. I know I'm not just this body and what I do. I'm related to something or some other things. To get the answer how to live with using better my life, and not to waste my life, and learn and answer my questions. And yeah, because honestly, I've tried other religions, mostly, and Buddhism. Mostly when you take up the lead of the religions, the way it is done, it's not very beautiful all the time. Very rare are doing it correctly. So that's why we continue to look for something to relate us to people, to nature, to stars, to other phenomena. Why we are here, what am I going to do, what's the best way to act. Sometimes we are not satisfied with what we hear, we do something completely, and then we see that doesn't give the answer. So we look for something else. And now you say that that's something else, I have to do it by being ethical and just love and all that. That seems more universal. That seems what's in every religion we were looking for, and any branch of knowledge we were looking for. It was always to do something good to heal us and to heal others, or our family at least, or our husband or children. So what you say encompasses all of these things: to heal people, to heal my family, to heal myself, not to need to suffer anymore by problem of money, or by problem of food, by problem of pollution. And it all depends on us. The way we do with advance, we get to these goals more quickly. That's my point of view from my little individual. And everybody has their own point of view, which is respected and good.
What is interesting is how we value ourselves on the name of the religion, and how we position ourselves in the name of religion, and how we are tolerant of each other if we realize we have the same goal, irrespective of religion. In the last Farsi teaching, we tested this. Amongst the knowledge seekers, during the teaching of Farsi, was the representative of Universal Council of Hebrew religion, of Hebrew language, and none of the Iranian panel objected to it. And it was written clearly, Universal Council Hebrew. In a way, as we were sharing the knowledge of God and was represented by the member of the Vietnamese community in the Parsi language, religion didn't matter. How we shared the knowledge mattered. How we learned to farm and we all learned together mattered. I sat and I listened to the teaching. Member of Universal Council of Farsi, member of Universal Council of Hebrew language, and the others were present. The Iranian panel could see the presence of the Hebrew language Universal Council, but it was sharing the knowledge. This is the point where we have crossed religion. And for the first time, the Hebrew spoken member of the Keshe Foundation was in Tehran. No one objected. People came up to ask questions and they could see their name next to the Hebrew language. But it was sharing of the knowledge was more important than the name of the faith. This is where I say the knowledge of the Keshe Foundation will cross everything. The biggest taboo for the Iranian community was to accept the presence of a Jewish faith person inside Tehran, be part of them and listen and share knowledge with the others, equal in transfer of knowledge. It was beautiful to be there. How respectful the Iranian Farsi language group were there. Knowing amongst them was what they were made to believe is the biggest enemy. But it was a friend, it was a knowledge seeker in the name of the foundation. We have crossed the borders. And in the coming time, we'll see more of. On Friday, you have a program in Brazil. The Keshe Foundation Brazil is inviting the knowledge seekers to bring men of different faiths to discuss. For them to be elevated to understand the creation and the creator. And I'm wondering how this thing will go. And the subsequent meetings with religious leaders on the platform of the Keshe knowledge seekers. If we have valued knowledge more than religion, then religion does not exist. In the way they have brought us to understand and to see. I sat there in one of the most prolonged teaching by member of the Universal, ex-Universal Council member of the Vietnam, explaining the beauty, the way he has worked in Vietnam, teaching the technology, working with the others, all the benefits of it, what is done, a life story of the servitude to humanity through the knowledge of the Keshe Foundation. And we all sat and we watched. I was waiting for any second, anyone to object to anything in the presence of the Hebrew language, directly from Tel Aviv, inside Tehran. Knowledge and knowledge of the creation to help the others to get a better food, better lifestyle, better animal care was more important than the color of the name of what we've been brought up to believe and follow the path of. It wasn't there to break law. It was there to show equality in understanding, to share the knowledge for all to be equal. One of the biggest taboos for the Iranian community was to have a Jew from Tel Aviv in Tehran. And we broke that taboo because we all respected the knowledge, not the name of the book, as all the books leads to one thing, to the Creator. This is what we have to understand. This is what we have to break open. This shows the courage of the Universal Council of Hebrew Language and the Farsi, how they came to be independent of the race, religion, and color. And in so many ways, many of the knowledge seekers and the organizers and the people in behind most probably had that in mind to ask him, can you speak? Can we know your opinion as a Hebrew speaking Jewish person from Tel Aviv? How can we help you with the other things? At the moment is with Corona. Tomorrow is something else. There is no border in the science and technology. In so many ways, when the knowledge has overtaken the taboos of religion, does religion have any more room except to be the unifier of all? Has religion has any other position but to be the messenger of peace through knowledge, through understanding, and through technology? I made man in the image of myself. And the image of the Creator is so beautiful when you see all its attributes and all its parts together in unison, irrespective of religion, color, or faith. It was a joy to see, and I waited for one complaint, for someone to say why there's a Hebrew language spoken here, or to be even shy to ask the question. But in this time of troubles, which created by the religious leaders for the benefit of their own, we have shown the knowledge of the Creator is bigger than the fractions of what He has taught, and those who have listened to it, they thought they become the Creator, and the word of the Creator to be spoken of. I said, the Creator is amongst you, you will teach in peace. And it's exactly what happened. It was a beautiful teaching, but at the same time, it was a beautiful time to understand that all are the same. Those who did not come into the Farsi teaching, they lost. They lost heavily because they didn't get the essence of the unity of the soul of the man. We are all the same. We love the same, we bleed the same, we suffer the same, and we enjoy the same. And this is what the mankind has to understand. The messengers of the past came to bring mankind to this point, at this conjuncture. And now, is there a need for religion? Or man has become wise enough to understand, he understands the path of the Creator without any intermediaries. Maybe mankind has matured. Or maybe the mankind is on the path of maturity. For me, last Monday was a joyful time to see the fruit of all the work and all the suffering over thousands of years brought another stepping stone towards a peace. Towards a peace amongst the soul of the man, not their physicality. No one left the meeting. They added to it. And this shall be the pattern of the Keshe Foundation. We have opened the teachings right across the nations, irrespective of religion, race, color. And last Monday was the first, what I call the bouquet of flower of peace from Hebrew language, from Tel Aviv to the Iranian nation. Those who take the first steps are the true leaders. The rest will follow. And we have seen the Hebrew language and the Farsi language and the Iranian community took the first step of peace for humanity. Soon you will understand the totality and gravity of understanding the unity of mankind in the level of the soul and not in the dimension of physicality. Any other question?
Yes, we've got several hands up here. Gatwa was next, and then Azar.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Hello, good morning, Mr. Keshe. Can you hear me, please?
Good morning. Yes, go ahead, Dr. Gatwa.
Oh, thank you very much. First is to thank you very much for your profound teachings, especially for bringing us on the path of maturity to the knowledge of the universe. I have two questions. One is a general question, and the other one is about last week's teachings about vaccines. So I'll begin with a general question. We know, as you have taught us, that the soul of man can be seen through brain scans. You can see that the position and the soul itself, where there is a void. I've been wondering whether the soul of physicality in the solar plexus can also be seen through a scan.
Yes. It's been seen many times, but the doctors don't understand it. It's such a anomaly in the structure that it's just been ignored. We don't see it, we don't understand it, so we ignore it.
So would you mind showing us how that is seen?
In time, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
We got to ask, actually, because as many of you know, maybe not know, I was born from the moment I opened my eyes in the world of X-ray radiation and films, of X-ray films and MRIs and the rest of it. This is how I was introduced to the world of science, of the fields of the radiation. Maybe my soul was chosen to be born in that family that I could understand beginning and the start of the essence of creation. And when I was young, very, very young, maybe 7, 8, I could read an X-ray in a different way. And my father a few times brought me an X-ray, says, you read it. You look at different things. And I used to say, you see, Papa, this is here is not correct. And he says to me, how do you see it? I said, this is not correct. I remember being very cheeky, curious man, very big curiosity. X-ray films to me was golden message. And my father used to come home sometime with odd pictures. And I knew these pictures must be somebody important. He used to go and take X-ray. He was involved in it. And there was a film in the envelope next to the safe in the cupboard, hidden. I pulled it out. And my father came and says, "What are you doing?" I said, this got a cancer and he's dying. And he cannot do because the fields are too big. He said, "How do you see this?" I said, "This is me, I can see it." And I was looking at it back to front. He said, "Why are you looking at it back front? You always look at the X-rays back to front." I said, "Because the knowledge sits when the film has crossed, not what is come in. The emotion of the soul goes through the film. You always look at the back of it when everything has arrived, not in front of it when it's imprinted." And in these processes, I got to know a lot in detail, intricacy of the physical structure of the man. And in so many ways, that's why I can pinpoint. This is this, this is that. I don't agree with a lot of people read X-rays, a lot of doctors, because it's in the book. We are not all the same and not every structure is written in the book. And when you look in an X-ray, especially the CT scans and the others and a full body image, you can pinpoint, you see the direction the fields flow. You see, one of the first things you learn in the world of understanding the position of the soul, when you see a man with a prostate cancer, and you understand it if it's through emotion or wanting to cut his leg off and his heart off because what has been done to him is not what he created with his son, you see three things. A gray black spot on the ankle. You see on the X-ray gray spots near the heart ribs. What does it mean? What has this got to do with a prostate cancer where you see the cancer in the prostate in the body? Very simple. I've created this child and I want to cut my legs that I will not do it again. I created this child, I want to take the heart away that I gave my heart to and it destroyed everything which I put into it. Then you see the body has a simple language. Then you have to go and serve the soul and the soul of physicality which is on the heart for the man to find his position and peace. This is why the new enhancement unit do that. It gives for the soul to be enlightened what he has chosen, why and what is taking the path to bring him here. When the doctors look, he says it has moved to the other places. When I look at the X-ray, I say, why has moved to the other places? What's the emotional reason that the guy wants to take his own heart and cut his own legs off? Then you understand X-rays and other things has to be read through the picture of the soul and the understanding of emotion, not with the black and white. Then you'll find very easily the position of the soul of physicality and the position of the soul of the man. You don't need to be a genius if you understand this at the age of 7 and 8.
Thank you very much. My second question is about disabling vaccines and especially the chips that come with them. And last week you taught about using patches, 3 patches on the arm, for example, where you have the middle one right on top of where the vaccine was delivered. And then on either side of that, 2 patches on either side, one on either side at the ratio of 2:1. So the question is, what is the ratio of the middle one, the one that is on top of the vaccine hole, relative to the other 2?
There are two different things. I think you're mixing it. One, we confirmed the position of where you can put a patch in the front and the back, or the one with 3 rings with different ratio. There are 2, 3 different ways of handling this. If you put a patch directly on the point of injection, this is where they give you a physical chip, or you use the 3 rings system or the 2 ring system for if it's chemical injection that returns back to control through the emotion. You change it, you disable it. If you are given injection, for example, always go and take fair amount of CO2 and zinc into it. Just normal drinking, 100, 200 ml a day. That you do not allow the interaction of these systems or chemicals, wherever they are, to supersede your emotion. And then with the rings you do. There are different ways. If you receive a physical chip or you're given a chemical chip. There is something which we understand in the background, that there is a possibility that in the coming future, different companies, like let's say so and so, will develop the chip. But for them to develop, to market the chip, they are forced to add an item into it, which is that chemical chip. Because not only one direction will go, many directions will go with different manufacturers, but organizations who will implement it, they pay them to add this additional chemical into it. That is the biological chip. Does not matter who produces it. If they want to market it, they have to add this to it, which is a control. And doesn't matter what, you can go for both. In a way, you have to be prepared to short circuit the system by their own way. And you have to understand how you, when they give you injection, you have to ask for the number. If you want to give me injection, I want the number. Because in that number is your telecommunication code. And is coded. In a way, it's your telephone number to your physicality. If you are given any injection with a microchip number on it, I want that data. That's mine. You want to give it, I want that, I want to keep it. It's literally what I said very recently in a private chat. You remember how the Hitler tattooed the numbers on the arm of the Jews or the prisoners of the camp? This is that tattoo. But this tattoo has a line of communication, uses the natural frequencies, mainly of G5 and G6. One of the reasons G5 was introduced in such a rapid way was for deployment of the vaccine. G5 is part of the control structure and nothing else. And there is a way around it. You can block it. You can create structure within your body between 2 different points that continuously creates a barrier. But it has other positions with it too. In so many ways, just move up 20 kilometers up. No one can reach you. It's the best time to teach the soul teaching. Best time for them to know they have no control.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe.
You're welcome.
Okay, we've got Azar. Would you like to go next, perhaps?
Good morning, Mr. Cash. Good morning, everyone. Mr. Cash, this is not a question, but about what you were saying. I think, the man on this planet is a funny creature because with every religion and any prophet that came, they fought the prophet at the time that prophet came, and after he was dead and they killed him, they worship him. And then funny thing is in all the religion, they talk about the promised, the time that there's a prophet comes as the promised man. And then it's interesting because one time I brought it up to someone that I respect a lot because I see that person very spiritual, very open, and I just love that person. But then I brought it up and I said, I think Mr. Cash is the promised man. And then I got this funny look, and I was thinking, why is it for people to accept and then I said, do you think the one that was promised is supposed to have some tail or horn or something that God said, this is what I'm gonna send? Then I was thinking about it and I was pondering about it. Why is it so difficult for a man to understand this or accept this? And then I realized it's always the fear of the man to let go of this prison. Because I was listening to one of your teaching yesterday, and then you said something beautiful that you said when you look at prisoners who've been in prison for 20 to 30 years, when you bring them back to the freedom, since they don't know how to handle life, for example, to work or get a place, or they can make their food, and they get scared, they go commit a crime, and then they go back to prison because in prison everything is ready for them. So, and I realize for most human, this position they are in, especially the religion one, the one that have especially the one who have the control, they're afraid. So if this is the end of it, they're gonna fight it because they relax in their position. They don't know what to do. It's a fear of not knowing what's gonna happen. This is the end of their position because they live with this for thousands of years with this notion of I'm the Muslim or I'm the Jew, I'm Christian, I go to church, I go to mosque, I go to synagogue. Now it's all over. So what is my next step? So they have nothing to replace it. That's why, and then I said to that person, I said, so you want to wait until Mr. Cash dies and then you're going to worship him? That's what's going to happen to us? Why can't we enjoy a man when the man is alive? Why we have to wait until he dies? And another thing is when the children are born, this is from my experience, when I was born in a very religious family. And one of the things, when I look back, my grandmother, not my parents, because my parents were very liberal, thank God to that. Because my father was working with American and he was affected by American culture, so he never pressured anything to me. But my grandparents was always pushing me to pray in the morning, waking me up 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning to pray. But I always asked question, why do I have to pray? But never told me this is the something like Quran. It's something that tells you where you came from. If they had told me something like this, I would have gone and studied it. But they always told me you have to get up 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning, wake me up, wash your face, or do whatever, and then pray. What for? Because you want to say thank you to God who created you. And I said, no, I don't want to, I never asked God to create me, take me back. Did I ask for it? I didn't ask for it, but never had a logical answer for it. Even now, none of this religious community have the logical answer for the kids they're born. Why even you study Quran? Why you do that? Why you follow the rules? And this is a problem because, you know, when you put the kids in that route, you make them blindly follow something that they know what it is. But even if you read Quran now, it tells you where you came from, deep in it. It gives you a lot of lesson. And it doesn't make you become so fanatic that this is the only way. If you understand it, you accept everybody. But the problem is all comes down to the fear of the man to lose what they got comfortable with, the prison they got comfortable with. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Azajan. Can I ask you a question? How was your feeling in the teaching last week when you were with a Hebrew member of the Universal Council and you had all these Iranians coming up to ask questions and they can see it once they become the panelists, that there is a Hebrew speaking person amongst them?
You know, I was completely comfortable, but I was actually thinking, was watching and thinking about what's going to be the reaction. But then I didn't see any reaction. I was happy. I said, oh, that's great, because it was saying you see Hebrew right there, and there was no objection. So I was just said, okay. So it was all talk, you know, because people were so happy that Ton was teaching and everybody was listening and everybody was enjoying, and it was, to me, it was great. I mean, I enjoyed it, and I actually was surprised at the end a little bit that nobody has any objection.
Like me, I was waiting. We've been brainwashed so much to hate each other that we couldn't see the beauty of how knowledge can bring when you share it.
Mr. Keshe, nobody cared. Nobody cared.
Nobody cared. Exactly.
Nobody cared who is there. And Mr. Keshe is like this. When you go, there was a story. It's not a story. It's a tourist. It's a tourist story. There was a time of German during the German fight. You know, the
Second World War.
Yeah, and then what happened? There were a group of German soldiers. They got lost. They were in the woods, and they found a house. They knocked on the door, and then they let them in. And actually, it was a German territory. And then there was another group. I think they were like English and American. There was a whole bunch of them. They got lost also. They ended up in the same house. So in the same house, the owner of the house cooked for all of them. They all sat at the table, and they ate and they laughed and they shared stories. And the next day, they all showed each other which direction to go to their own unit and shake hands. But it was interesting to see how when they go out of that position that was created for them, everybody sit around and talk and enjoy, because we put them in that position. So you need to hate this person. And if they understand it, you can choose for yourself not to hate anybody.
The question is, would our religious leaders and what I call political leaders come to that point? It's exactly what we see in the culture of the humanity. We follow to be part of. We don't follow to be because of. And this is where the problem is. We follow blindly to be part of, we never question. But at the same time, we would like to be important person in that part, in that equation. This is part of what human race is made of. We are an animal pack, And to be part of the pack, we wear any clothes. Be it religious, be it political colors, be it race colors or whatever.
And Mr. Keshe, another thing is this, because when I look at when people have something like on a daily basis they do, like for example, I'm talking about Jesus, Jesus this, you know, I make quotation of Jesus or a quotation of Muhammad, Hazrat Muhammad, or this and that. Imagine when you understand that is no longer necessary. It means there's a emptiness. It means that you have to look at yourself, and looking at yourself sometimes it can bring stuff to you that you have to face yourself, and that sometimes for people is scary to know themselves, because they're scared of the truth. Because when you want to face yourself, you have to face who you are. And that, because now you have somebody to go to, like Jesus, who is dead, and then you hide behind Jesus. But then after you let go of that, then who are you facing? Your own soul, your own physical soul, and what you're doing, what's your conduct, what your emotion. That's what people have to do, to face yourself. Don't go hide behind Muhammad or Jesus or Buddha or this and that. If you let go of that, then you have to see yourself. This is the real Buddha in you, or real Christ in you, that you have to face. Who is this Christ, or who is this Muhammad? Right? It's right in you. And then that's the problem comes from. Put that aside and then face yourself, then the problem is solved.
I'm going to tell you something very strange, but the truth. And it might be a shock to many of you. Even belief in a religion, accepting a religion, has a field strength, has an emotional strength. Then would we, with the knowledge we carry in the enhancement units, be able to raise the level of the soul of the man in the emotion of religion to all be equal? Then would we get rid of all these prejudices? Would they all walk out of the system as believers in the Creator and the path of no religion, but totality of religions? When I explain how fundamental the enhancement technology is, now you might understand. I can even reach the soul, the strength of the field of your emotion of religion, path of belief, path of life. Then maybe you understand how fundamental the new systems are. They are groundbreaking through technologies. And we are reaching to the point of being able, as we make you happy, we can elevate for you to understand the strength of your emotion at the level of belief. The reality and the truth is simple. In finding out, you go in as a Christian and you come a believer of every other path to be equal, wouldn't that put a fright amongst the religious leaders, as everyone is equal? And then the churches and the mosque have to open up just to show and teach the path of the Creator. No moons and no crosses over the building. The true house of God. The true house of knowledge, where the true knowledge is taught as a knowledge seeker. Soon, mankind will go to the churches and the mosques to learn the knowledge of creation, not the path of division, but path of a man. All these structures set up by humanity in different names and colors will become the property of the Creator to teach his knowledge. As they used to believe in that house of temple without a statue, now they change to the house and temple of knowledge. As Azad wrote in one of her private messages, the religious leaders in Iran, now they are scientists. They have PhD in physics and biology, but they have become religious leaders. And now you can imagine they put the religion aside and teach the medicine in the new way of what we call new generation of science. It'll be a waste of time to demolish all these structures which has been built by man to worship an imaginary statue in the name of the Creator, where before they used to have a statue and they used to worship in the same buildings. The biggest statue has been changed with a cross and a man. Otherwise, again, it's the same temple of worship of a statue. Be it the moon, be it the Star of David, be it any other language. We have changed a bigger thing to a symbol, which we remember that symbol and we carry in our heart. In a way, those who understood, they changed the image from shape of a statue to remember to the symbol that's easy to remember and you can control. Isn't it time that these houses of worship to become the houses of knowledge, and the whole mankind become the seeker of the knowledge of the Creator without the division of the color, race or religion? We go to a Muslim mosque because the priest in that mosque is a physicist and he can explain more of the physics of the creation. And we go to another church because the priest is a medical doctor and he can explain more in depth the knowledge of it. We still keep the trust in the building, and with it we keep the trust in the creation and the Creator. Wouldn't it be time when over every church, mosque and temple will arise the house of knowledge for knowledge seekers, the true seekers of the knowledge of the creation? As by then we have found the position of our soul and we have elevated to understand the knowledge and the operation of that soul in all dimensions of this physical dimension in the universe. We go to a synagogue because the rabbi has been and understand the position of the soul of the man in physical dimension in a specific position in the universe we are interested to go to. It's time not to burn down the churches and the mosques and the temples, but erect them to be the houses of knowledge, the true knowledge of the Creator. Then there'll be no religion except the righteousness to understand the knowledge of the creation, not only for the dimension of physicality, but in the dimension of the soul of the man. Any other question?
Yes, we've got Antonio next. Go ahead, Antonio.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. I knew this man who's passed on, God bless his soul, and he recounted when he was young that he could see the patterns in the wind where most people will feel the wind. He could see patterns in the wind. Anyway, this man, he became known as Ben the Baptist because he was like a prophet and was announcing a coming of a teacher. But he gave me a soul experience on several occasions. So when you talk about the soul, I think that it's a time that you're saying that mankind, I think we are ready. We're ready for this self-realization of knowing who we are. And even the leaders in the world, such as the queens and the popes, they must know all this is about to happen, but they say nothing. Perhaps I think it's probably a good thing, because if the Pope said that, say, for example, the Christ was in the world, then people would believe him. I don't think that would be a good thing. People have to find out for themselves through their soul that, you know, that this may be true. And I believe that when the time comes, all the church bells will be ringing in joy that we're finally moving to that next step of understanding who we are and the knowledge of the universe. And I wrote in the Q&A that there is no religion higher than truth, and only the soul would understand that.
The beauty with this cycle of understanding is that we not only understand the strength of the fields or what is made of, but as man is physical, we have developed technologies that the man can follow and see and believe in and understand. This is the beauty with this process, that we don't ask you to follow it blindly. We ask you with your knowledge to be part of it because it's part of you. And this is the beauty with the new cycle. You are part of it. You become part of the path. You become part of what you call religion. You become part of what we say, marching, walking the path. This is the beauty with this cycle. Is not somebody who made the GANs for me to survive the corona. I made it myself. And so because of it, I see the effect of it. I believe in it in totality, because I was the creator of it, understanding the knowledge. Then we'll see, we do not believe, we don't want to believe, we don't want to accept that there is something somewhere that I don't understand. In a way, we become the believer in ourselves. And in so many ways, as long as we do not stray from the path and don't become arrogant, we will become a knowledge seeker. We still follow the same path. We still will eat from the same cup, but this time we drink from the cup of the knowledge of the universe. And when the mankind reaches that point, mankind truly is matured. And in so many ways, as I said, I'm a friend. and I stay a friend. It's for you to choose to be a friend. And a friend shares, supports, and gives. Where in ownership of, claim of ownership of, has been the cause of the problem for man. I ask and I'm given. And when I'm given, I have the right to live the life as I've chosen the new path with what I've given. And this is what the mankind has to realize. And the sooner we reach this point, the sooner mankind reaches peace, not only with himself, but with the soul of the creation, which he is part of.
Thank you for the beautiful teachings, Mr. Keshe. Thank you.
I hope mankind will be wise to it, that he uses for bringing peace and tranquility to the race.
I would give you the option now for some peace and tranquility for a few minutes, Mr. Keshe. If you like, we could take our mid break here.
Please go ahead.
Okay. People can save their questions. We have Mark and Dean with their hands up. If we can save your questions.
Do we have anybody else in other channels than usual people? Or are they excluded for any reason?
We have someone called Gare in the Q&A who's made a lot of comments and insights. And I haven't heard of them before, so that's a new name. Perhaps they would like to actually speak with Mr. Keshe.
After the commercial?
Yeah, well, I'll give them the option if they would like to actually talk. That would be nice, because it's a lot to read if I was to read all the.
Where are you? On the YouTube?
No, on the Q&A I'm talking about here. Gear.
Q&A?
The last 4 or 5 questions in the Q&A from Gear Amdel. Okay, well, perhaps we'll take a quick break then and be back shortly. Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you. Sure you're going to mute me?
Pardon me?
Are you going to mute my voice?
We can do that, sure. Okay, welcome back to the 354th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, November 12th, 2020. Mr. Kesh, if you're ready, we have the two people with their hands up here, but we also may have the possibility of others that can also.
Yeah, the gentleman you're talking about, we know he's an old knowledge seeker from Norway.
Ah, okay.
Yes. G, would you like to open up if he wants to speak, or you want to read?
We can ask him to unmute. He's got talking permitted if he would like to open the microphone. We also have Salamia, who had a couple of questions in the Q&A, and she has her hand up as well, so perhaps we can hear from her. Salamia, would you like to go ahead? Not getting the microphone open there for some reason.
So you can't hear me?
Now yes, now we can hear you. Yes.
Okay. So I was speaking alone. So we need a new societal model based on knowledge. How it will look like, and if we can introduce in this societal model also the art which work with the soul, and the soul of physicality and the soul of the man. And what will be the role of Keshe Foundation of putting together the art and the knowledge and the spirituality beside religions and politics? This school of mysteries, which we had before religions. I mean,
the truth or part of the reality will dawn on mankind that through the knowledge, whatever you might call it, will be answered. In a way, we don't find an answer for religion, but becoming knowledgeable, we find religion to be part of what we've been looking for, or part of what we've been told in different names and shapes and forms. In a way, if you look at it, religion is a science itself in the conduct of the man, and nothing else.
okay. But we know that the religion leaders divided the mankind like the political leaders did and does. How we can change this situation with the help of Keshe Foundation?
We are not answer to all. We are a path of understanding knowledge. It's the mankind who has to decide what it fits to where it fits and the way it fits him, to suit him, to make his life better in all dimensions. If we make the work and the knowledge we dispense to be the answer to everything and we claim it, then we have put limitation on the strength of the growth of the soul of the man and the universe. We teach for man to evaluate and elevate his own soul with it and the others. When a man goes for the knowledge through the Keshe Foundation to elevate his own soul, that man has already lost the knowledge. When we gain the knowledge, is to share, to elevate the others. And when we learn this, doesn't matter in what field of the science, what field of the knowledge of understanding, then we have become the true knowledge seeker. So, when you ask me what's the role of the Keshe Foundation, the role of the Keshe Foundation is one thing, for man to understand the true knowledge, and with it become servant to his own creator. We are not making a bunch of religious people. We are making a bunch of souls which understand the path to the elevation of itself, which is by servitude. And then, do you need politics or do you need religion? None. Because you live the path, the true path of the religion, the true path of a correct conduct of the soul. That is, if you want to call it, the function of the Keshe Foundation, for man to understand the true knowledge, become a true knowledge seeker. Then you have no one to confirm to be a prophet, a priest, or a politician.
Thank you. Your ideas are very similar to Baha'u'llah, other messenger of God from Iran. And I know that many Baha'is are persecuted in Iran. And maybe knowledge seeker could be also persecuted from other religions or political leaders in the future because of our belief in truth and in unity of mankind, because they want power only to by dividing us. You can have you can be powerful if you unite people in their perspective and their approach. So my question is, maybe we can have spiritual schools working together with...
Once we go back to the spiritual schools, we create another religion. We create another division.
Mm-hmm.
If man understands the knowledge, he will have the path to what he wants to know at a time when he needs the knowledge. Knowing where to go, knowing what to do, and understanding what are the consequences of the knowledge he gains. It's a simplicity in understanding the totality and not being prejudiced about it. This is the biggest conflict for mankind. We see it now in the position of the world leader. Haven't seen it before. If I'm not elected, I start everything else to be wrong because people don't like me and I cannot be rejected. Because I tried everything. I even tried to give myself a Nobel Peace Prize to be the, but what happened? And on the other hand, if you look at what supposedly to be the elected new leader, he himself during his time as a vice president been involved in one of the largest number of killings around the world. Both don't have a clean sheet. Does not matter what they claim. We have never seen so much murder and mayhem than during Obama's time. Which one do we accept? The one who wants to start a war to stay in power, or the one who has already created so many wars? When you're a vice president, you're as powerful as the president, but in the background. When I meet with the world leaders, we usually meet with their vice presidents. Then you meet normally the wife of president. And then if the wife likes it, you see the husband, which is the president. When we enter negotiations, the vice has more say than the president, unless somebody inside the household of the president takes you in. His approval and the decision maker too. Vice presidents are some of the most powerful men in the structure. You have a chairman and you have a CEO. CEO is the one who carries the work. Chairman who just talk. President is a chairman and CEO is a vice president. So if we have seen such a huge amount of killing in the 8 years operation of Obama, has the president to be no say in it? Or has it changed to be sweetened in the time to be elected? This is one of my fears. And then do we need religious leaders or governmental leaders? If we can govern ourselves, do we need to have others to govern us? We can't have the social structure like communist time. It does not work. Because some who are on top benefit too much and those at the bottom get hardly any. But somewhere between the two is a remedy for mankind. Till mankind matures, it doesn't depend on physicality.
I see. It's clear now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are sitting on the verge of a time bomb in different directions, and maybe this is one of the signs of time of the maturity of the man, for him to make a decision. Do we call and work upon the call of the religious leaders to start wars and separation? Or do we go with the instruction of the world leaders to start wars and everything else? Or do we say enough is enough? We had both of both. Now we make science and technology and knowledge the leaders of mankind. Any other question?
Okay, thank you. We have Dean with the hand up, and there's a couple of questions from the YouTube that I'd like to ask as well.
Can I announce something that next Monday teaching with Iran, Farsi language, is their guest is the Chinese community, and everyone welcome to it. It's as usual of 6:30 Central European time every Monday. And this week we have the pleasure of hearing from Chao with what we call the Corona situation in China and in Iran. And it'll be a welcome party as my love sits with both nations. In so many ways, we should be able to see something beautiful in how the Chinese share knowledge with us. and the following week the Persian language Keshvarsi goes to China. This is very good in these interactions, as the normal translation of the teaching has found no room at the moment, because learning from other cultures and nationalities, what they've done with the Keshe Foundation and the knowledge, is more interesting to some. But the organizers of these teachings have to make time that the teachings can be translated, maybe by additional, when you have guests, do a translation session separately that people can follow the teaching, they don't fall behind. On the other hand, it's beautiful to see that the knowledge is getting shared so openly, and it's amazing that knowledge seekers of the countries, people who come in for the first time or have been there, they see there are other people, they're not limited to them. It's not just them and one cup of life or whatever. Open their eyes to a lot of things. And it'll be interesting to see how the knowledge seekers develop this into one national, international structure. And it'll be interesting to see how knowledge seekers will bring a lot of new dimensions into it. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Dean here from the UK. Mr. Keshe,
from UK in the Linz Teaching Center.
Yeah, universal being now, Mr. Keshe, yeah, in all dimensions, hopefully.
What were you doing there a couple of days ago?
Doing some photography, Mr. Keshe, with some products.
We could see your pictures through security cameras, but it was interesting.
Yeah, no, taking some pictures of the products to help out.
You had some other people with you.
No, not that day. No, I was on my own.
There were some other people while you were there.
It would have been people that have just walked through the actual room. Nothing to do with me.
No, I thought they were there to listen or to learn something.
No, it depends which day you're talking about, Mr. Keshe. I've been there, I think, twice now, and I was just taking pictures. And there's been an occasion where someone walked through and just wanted to know some knowledge, but they spoke in German, and sadly, I do not speak that language totally yet.
No problem. You're a traveler of the planet, huh?
Yes, indeed.
No problem. Ask.
Right, Mr. Keshe. So, what I was going to, we've been speaking about religion, and what is it that what field strength unifies and carries forth from mankind? When mankind loses his coat, when mankind, as you rightly say, when the bird is free from the cage, what field strength can man take with him as an emotion? Are emotions carried
all
forward?
Of it.
All of it.
All of it is the fingerprint of your existence.
Okay.
When we appear in a dimension and time, we remember all of it. And very recently, I was explaining this to a knowledge seeker. I remember I was explaining, I spent many years in the desert under one palm tree and a water well. I spent a long, tens of years there in solitude, that to move when the time is right. It's the essence of, and the reason for that is in that time, there was a lot of contemplation and elevation to understand how to teach the man. This stay in the desert was one of the most joyful times. As I said, we carry all of it. It depends in what we choose to remember, in what we choose to be part of, and in what we choose to lead, to create, to be the creation of. I can explain very clearly to details and even tell people where to find what to confirm my correctness. Be it under a stone or be it in the depth of the rivers. They find where I left things. At the time when I was there, in thousands of years we spent time here. You do not know if you did not do. It's what we do stays with us. And what we carry is the memory of the existence of time. And as I said many times, I would witness and felt every stroke of the hammer on the nail. And I felt the bullet through the body. It is the time for mankind to understand that nothing will be lost. It's a recording, like the cameras you were in the center, that it records everything while you're not aware of. But it's recorded on the disk of the memory of the soul of the man. As the physicality is dispensable.
So, Mr. Keshe, like the sun always shines, the Creator always shines on us, and we are part of that creation.
In a way, yes. As I said, if you were in the American teaching on Sunday, as Alex was teaching and showing the books, we never hid anything. We were so straightforward, right under your nose, that you decided to deny. You decided to not to be part of. When you look at the first book, what do we say? Universal Council. Meeting of the man with the universal community. Understanding the knowledge of Universal Council, universal community and the knowledge. And read, take the first book. What does it say? The title of it, the first word. The universal order of creation of matter. From the beginning, we were clear about our mission and destination. You read it as a word. We meant it indeed. I never hid that what I've come here to do, to take man to the universal community. And the first book tells you on the top, the universal order of creation, how everything is created in universe, not the creation of matter or the matter state of the man. I wrote, the position of the prophet of the past and the scientist is the same. But we are not prophets, we are messengers. And our message was very clear from day one. The universal order. We never hid. You were blind to it. Now you understand. We did what we said from the beginning. You could not understand. And no message has changed, it's all the same. I didn't put the creation of matter, the universal. This is how the universe works. In order of matter, state or energy. Because the book 2 is based on book 1. So it still is the universal order of creation of light. The creator, the totality. And then you have the origin of the universe, which based on the first 2 books, which means again, is the universal order.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you for the message. Thank you. If I feel that, like we all do, hopefully we all feel, I think we all feel that the message, we feel that message within ourselves as humanity. Whether we understand it in totality sometimes, hopefully, as you said today, that humanity will come to this position of understanding. But I thank you for the message, Mr. Keshe. Thank you.
The message is very loud and clear. The time for man to be in the village of earth is over. But to go out the rules and regulations, you have to learn, first of all, to find your soul. That is your guide. That is your tool guide. That's the one who carries the knowledge. And then if you understand that, and you understand in belief of understanding the totality, then what are you worried about? You don't need a prophet. You carry it within you. It's your soul. You have to find the strength of it, that you can listen the words and its message.
It's that the soul leads us, as someone said the other day, it leads us around by a nose. It seems to put us in positions of obviously knowing the physicality, and it takes us to positions when we start listening to it. It takes us to a position where of beauty and understanding of the matter states, but also it's trying to teach us this universal knowledge of the true essence of what we are, where we come from, and being part of the creation. And it's that knowing, that knowing from the very first moment that you come into creation. Even before you're in you take your first breath, you know, and as soon as you breathe, I know this is in the matter state and in the physical body, but you have that knowledge within you, and we all have it, and we all carry it forward, and it's just that understanding and coming to that point of stillness again, where you can actually just know, just be.
The truth is, what do we value ourselves at? And then trying to achieve that value. Doesn't matter in what level of creation. And what we value ourselves is what we get to, and what we strive to understand. And this is one of the ways that we always live. What do we value, and what we do to get to that value we believe we're worth, we need to. In the physical world, we value ourselves as a doctor so much thousand a month. But in the soul level, we don't, because we don't understand it. It's left to somebody else to tell us what it is. We have never valued our soul. How much, into what level I want to understand that through that creation of the path, I reach there. That's all it is. This is how you elevate yourself, how you access and further knowledge. But it has to be through pure sincerity and understanding.
So, Mr. Keshe, some of the religions, all the religions, there are pure intentions within the religions, within mankind, and then sometimes it just gets muddled. As I said before, that the field strength of the sun, which is a ray which gives us our soul in our physical body on planet Earth. Some of us have, through the knowledge, have come to understand this, but surely the religions know this truth. And as you said before, they've abused the soul of the man. But the soul of the man is so beautiful in its purity, back to the Creator, that surely it's time that the religions understood that they need to release their soul, our soul, and to be one once more.
It depends what we want to know and to what extent, and with it, what do we do with it. If we see it as our right to damage with what we received, we will get damaged by it. And the damage in our soul is not getting elevated. And you'll see everything to go backwards with it in a physical life. And this is part of what many people don't understand.
Why would people abuse this knowledge, knowing that you have to at some point balance your books and account for your to your soul? So you have to rebalance your own soul yourself. You only answer to yourself. So why would a physical body soul want to put itself in a position of
Because I'm kind of coming right in before you go too far. Because there is enigma put into it. Day of judgment. I can delay till that time. I go to the last day of paying the bill before, they disconnect me. You understand?
Yes.
But that is where the man has fallen in this trap. With a name, with the entitlement of Day of Judgment. If the prophets would have explained every day is a judgment day, would have been a different world. And this is what we tell you. Every day, every conduct is got to be answered, not to anybody else but yourself. This is what a lot of people don't understand. You take a love from a man of everything, you are, and you sit with it. It's the acceptance of asking and be given. You lose your title. You lose your right to understand the totality. And this is part of the structure of the creation. You're sitting somewhere with the clock.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, the clock, yeah.
I'm sorry about that, Mr. Keshe.
No, it's beautiful. It's the time of the man, which, what they call it, it's TikToks.
Yeah, TikToks, yes. It's a 1950s clock that has got a loud TikTok, yes.
Yep. Every second is 1 second to go further, to understand more. This is part of what we call the understanding of totality. We are not a religious organization, but understanding the science brings us to question what the religions.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. You suddenly cut off there.
You got me back?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm plugging this up. This is what the dilemma is with the religious groups. Now we become the priests. We become the rabbis. We become those who have the knowledge, but in a scientific way. And this is what they don't like. The Iranian religious organizations have a big problem with me. The same with the rabbis. The same with the Pope. But in essence, they know it's true. And they do not dare to do. Because they are not there to decide. They are there to confirm. And they know they don't confirm. They cannot delay to the grandchild or to the others. They have to handle and pay for it by themselves. We see huge movement in the religious world and diplomatic world about my movement, about what I do. Governments, now they are deciding in how and who and where and when I can talk. The world leaders are deciding, and the governments, on how me as an individual should do, be, or say. And now we get it in writing. It's not talk anymore.
Mr. Kesh, thank you for your dedication and everything you've done for humanity over the whole lifespan of your life. You've dedicated yourself to helping humanity to come to this position, and that's just an amazing thing that you've done. Just an incredible thing you've done for humanity. It's just astonishing to me as in my physical body, with the teachings that I've gathered, the information, the field strength that you've given me through your knowledge that you shared. Is I'd just like to thank you, and I know in the times to come that humanity will catch up.
If they don't want to be a tomato.
Yeah.
The reality, you're welcome. The reality is I came to serve, but I had to go through the process of understanding man's life, that I could see how humanity lives and what humanity does. It's the same with the structure of understanding the world of politics, understanding the world of religions. I can dismantle them from inside by themselves, not from outside by us. And this is one of the beauties of the new process. This is one of the beauties of the new understanding. I don't need to do much. I just need to teach much.
You've already taught many things, Mr. Kesh, and there's many knowledge seekers I know that have incredible depth of knowledge, and the beauty that they're starting to spread across the planet through this one magnet that came, and all the magnets are now shifting. All those field strengths are repositioning, and it's a very joyous and wonderful time to actually, when you have been involved with the foundation, you've understood the way that you have positioned yourself and everybody. It is magnificent. It's wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Kesh.
The thing is, we never made hierarchy and we never made priests. We always stayed knowledge seekers, and that has been the key. That even when I teach, and if you've been to some of the teachings, I go and say, Mr. Kesh is here. I said, I'm here as a knowledge seeker. When we divide ourselves and we put ourselves on a pedestal, it's the time when it's finished. And as I said earlier on, I have moved from running day-to-day basis of the Keshe Foundation to a knowledge seeker back in research. I enjoyed my time in research lab. I go for a few hours and share knowledge and see the beauty which comes out of it the next days. Many knowledge seekers who work with me online, in what they develop, they get the same. Sharing a knowledge is a privilege. Keeping a knowledge is end. And it's no use keeping knowledge. Once you share the knowledge, it expands, it shows its beauty, it shows its attributes, it shows its grandeur and how beautiful it is. And you can teach as long as you are there to teach and share to teach, and you go.
Yeah, Mr. Kesh, your teachings have been incredible, and the depth of it, the knowledge behind it. I know it's of creation, and I know it's from your soul, and the beauty of the way that you deliver the message with sincerity, and that you don't stop to think. You just let it flow. You just let the universe flow through you, and it's wonderful to experience. It's been a pleasure and an honor to be part of it. I just wish that mankind would understand the beauty of what's being put on the table.
The mankind doesn't have a table yet. That's the problem, to put it on it. This is the biggest problem we have.
Yeah.
It is part of the structure. You see, we see it in teachings for over years and years. A lot of people come around with a foundation. They take from it what they want, and if they don't get it, there is everything wrong with it, and then they start everything to show what is wrong with it. But in reality, they bring the beauties of it on the table. We've seen number of attacks, massive attacks on Keshe Foundation in a huge scale, and recently in another scale. But what has come is that people have come to judge, I'm here for the knowledge and not for the personality. And the people who bring you to that position have got nothing to do with the knowledge and the knowledge seeking. People became very wise. I think one of the last tests for the Keshe Foundation is more or less been in the past few months. Many knowledge seekers had to judge, are they here for the knowledge or are they here for personality? And the one who shares the knowledge is always in command. And the ones who try to disturb and abuse just the position, they can't add much extra rhetoric. You will see they feather away. And this is how it will be. As I said many times, we even will raise their names from the books, because it's so chosen by the soul that cannot be that the next generation get that, what we call poison from the name itself. In the upcoming books, you will see some names will be erased from the book because they've shown the misconduct and the poison they have created within the structure of the soul of the man. When you put the name of motion, it means the essence of love and giving, and creature who has the love to share unconditionally. Because it has the essence of the love and the care. And when you see in the book number 4, a number of names which put in, which brings the essence of the joy, of the love and the care. And with it, even the name carries the wisdom of the soul. In so many ways, a knowledge seeker has to be open to seek the knowledge, the true knowledge, and share it truly, not just because I learn is mine and stays with me.
I think, Mr. Keshe, the knowledge that that is shared, and I think each soul feels when you listen to yourself. When I listen to you, and I'm talking from my personal point of view, but I'm sure this is a shared soul thing. You receive not only in the physical voice, but on that soul level, deep within you, you feel the creation. You feel the beauty of the knowledge, and it penetrates. Those neutrinos penetrate through every atom of your body. It becomes part of you. It becomes the ethos of you. You become, you come back to that beginning, the part of the creation again. It just feels that it's that in depth.
I listened to a lot of teachings after the teachings to understand a lot of the teachings. And it's amazing how much knowledge is given so freely. So with love and care and a lot of understanding. And when the souls understand it, the souls come to appreciate it.
Yeah, the souls, they definitely feel it in the most wondrous way. It touches. It really. I know that's a matter state, but it touches your very soul. It, as I said, that it penetrates through to every space gap in your body, every space gap, every energy pack, every transfer of energy, every part of your being is. It becomes becomes one, becomes all of it. It's
as long as we don't become a cult, as long as we don't become a sect, as long as we stay a knowledge-based organization, we will win the heart and the soul of the man and the universe. When we separate ourselves to be elite and unique, that's the time where the downfall of the whole knowledge comes. And this is what I always said, be a knowledge seeker, but don't become arrogant when by seeking knowledge you understand something new. And this is part of what we see and part of what we understand. If the people who come to get something from the foundation and they don't get it, and then they become the enemies of it, ask yourself one question. By not knowing how you have served through what we call your ego, your arrogance, you serve more, because the souls bring you to serve, nothing else. Your own soul makes you servant. When you send so many emails, negative emails to so many world leaders, to so many places, to block. Even those who haven't heard now, they want to know more. And then they hear about, for example, Corona. What do? This guy has given a solution. They go for it. In a way, by your arrogance, you have opened new doors for us. By the damage you try to do, you damage nothing. You add to. And we've seen it. And some people who come and go by what they do and what they want to prove, they serve. Serving doesn't come by making a cup of tea or giving a conference. If I make you to think if the work of the Keshe Foundation is correct or not, and then you have to judge it, and then two things. You stay, and because of it you judged it to your own soul, you become stronger for it, and you become more attached to understanding more of it, then you have served your purpose. Those who are weak will always fall by the side. That's been a pattern of the creation. When we used to have what I call a chicken farm, they used to give us 105 one-day chicken, because they say, okay, 5% of it will die. But we became so good looking after them that we didn't even lose one. It's understanding how to handle it, that even the others who think is a weakness in you, it becomes your strength. And this is part of the structure of understanding. This is part of what I call the knowledge of the soul. Doesn't matter what they try to do, how they translate the knowledge. Knowledge is a truth, and you are the witness to it, nobody else. We have gathered such a strength in so many governments and nations through the work of the knowledge seekers in Iran. And you saw how it has built up. In every essence, in every nation, we have a problem. We call it a corona. But how have we handled it? How have you as knowledge seekers been there to give it? And how many lives you've saved? It's beautiful. If you were in my place, I get a message from Iranian Keshe Foundation knowledge seeker. My brother is in Washington with Corona. Can I have help? What do? We just make a call. We just put it in the public domain of the Keshe Foundation US. We need urgent help. Such a person in such a place. You don't know who it is. You don't even have got a clue what this guy looks like or what he believes in. Is it Christian, Muslim, or whatever? Knowledge seekers, you just deliver the answers. You save the life. And what do we get? A few days later, a couple of weeks later, the same person who put the call out writes back, "Thank you very much for saving the life of my brother or my loved ones." This is what the knowledge has to be. You all share, you all accept to share. And does not matter about the time and position, is how we share is important. And if we are thankful to the knowledge, we become the part of the knowledge. And then it has a lot of meaning for us. As I said, this Keshe Foundation teaching is not just what we call cult, but we have a science and technology. You can't reach it, we show you how. You can't reach it, we have a system which can assist you. You go to the church and say, can you help me? I have a problem with my son. Put the money in the box. I don't tell you put the money in the box. I tell you go in the box. You go into the confession box to confess whatever you've done wrong, which most probably you never see the truth of it, that due to the cancer and the rest of it. I put you in the box called enhancement unit to elevate your soul, that you see how you cannot get to the same point. Was it your problem, or was it what you created or was created? And you solve the problem for good. As I said to somebody very recently, yes, we have an enhancement unit. It's you and your soul in the box. Now see who has to pay for what. And there are no boxes to put monetary in it, because you're already in it to accept it for the change. It's beautiful if you see the other side of the coin the way we see it. Why there is so much resistance to a knowledge? Have you ever asked yourself why there is so much resistance into Keshe Foundation sharing knowledge? Isn't sharing knowledge a pleasure? Or have we in fact using the knowledge to stop the man to reach his soul? Because now we have a system, we have a technology, we have a way to show. We have understanding of not only the soul, but how to reach it through a technology, through understanding of the science of his creation. And this is what they don't like. World leaders can rise against me. Have no fear. Because it's very simple. They don't have the knowledge and understanding when you can reach their soul. I was reading a message, and maybe I can read it for you. Then you understand why and how. This gives you an insight into a lot of things if you understand it. Just let me find it. This is the message from the White House. And he writes very simply. He says, in aerial talk to the White House chief of, what do you call it, staff, I had a very unpleasant conversation with a lot of yelling. The guy was shouting, the head of chief of the staff, that President Trump does not want to deal with Keshe. He's his biggest nightmare. Why? a simple man has to become a man's nightmare because he shares peace, he shares knowledge. Why we get the same thing from another world leaders, other places, not to move, puts you in danger. You're in danger. Who, why, and how do you know I'm in danger if you haven't created danger for me? Then we understand. Sharing your knowledge at this moment of time has become a big crime. And there are those who play into the wind of it because it pays them to be. A lot of people are using the Keshe Foundation and the structure we set up to do clandestine activities and clandestine things to benefit them for the future of to serve their masters. But they don't understand that these masters sooner or later become a slave to their own conduct. As I always say, I'm a friend and here to help. It's you who have to decide.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe, for the open box of the universe.
Yes, you have seen it.
Thank you. I feel it, Mr. Keshe. I think we all feel this now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Definitely Maria Teresa in the YouTube also feels it. She says, Mr. Keshe, your words touch my soul and everything I have ever believed. Religion for me should bring peace and unity, not control. Now everything makes sense and life is worth it. Thank you so much. We have, where is it here? A question from Strombringer in the YouTube, who says, can you teach us a way to quickly lift the souls of our opponents? A portable system that we can easily conceal on us or hide somewhere. Thank you.
He wants a magic box.
Yes, sir. Or even smaller.
A smaller, a soul box.
Yeah.
Once man understanding of the position and strength of the soul is achieved or completed by the man himself, then you can reach any soul, because you get rid of the, what I call, physical frock of the soul of the man. And this is very difficult for many people to understand. It's very difficult for many people to comprehend beyond it. And it's very difficult for people to be part of the change when themselves come to understand that the change is within them. And we move on. We don't need to learn much, but it's a progress. It's a progress which will happen in the coming months. And the elevation of the soul of the man will come through what we call unified field forces of one soul. And that soul is to be born. Born out of the love of totality of the whole universe and not the mankind only. We give life to totality according to our understanding, the time, the position, and the destiny. And nothing can change it. For a tree to be in a forest in a given time and position has taken thousands of years for it, and accommodated by the rest of the trees in the forest. When you look at the structure of the forest, it's like the human race. Every tree in every position is well accommodated by the others to be equal and the same height in the forest. So is and will be the destiny of the man. All men will stand tall, because from now on is the knowledge of the universe and the humbleness to know that you have access to all of it will become the criterion of the living, not by hiding and ducking and claiming a seat, a temple, or a White House. And as I told you before, we have a knowledge seeker from Switzerland who joined us, a first batch of knowledge seekers in training with us. And he said, I'm Swiss. And I explained to him the color of your passport, what's on it, is the true color. It's all red, if you understand it, or what you've done. He understood, and he left the teaching. And in so many ways, we bring the message of peace, but for the soul of the man, not for the man. And this is the ethos of the Keshe Foundation. And a lot of people try to attach it to the physicality, but if you look at everything I have taught from the beginning, has a soul and a heartbeat of the soul. Nothing else. It's you who have chosen the wrong way, or it's you who have decided to go the way that you think might be the best for you. But one thing is for sure, we all end up on the same table of accommodating and accepting equality. And I always stand true to my own way. I'm still a knowledge seeker. Because by seeking knowledge, understand what I have created, thus that I can learn and be part of, not to be arrogant to be that I know. Ask yourself one single question. With all these fields which travel across the universe, what fields and what position today, this second, has become a seed of a star, or has become a seed of a planet that will seed into life the way we have in this, on this earth, in this position? Then that needs learning. It means a position has been created which is unknown, and understanding the creation of it becomes the knowledge of the creator. And as we understood today, the knowledge becomes the knowledge of the created instantaneously. Then you understand the present computers are finished. As I said, we will show new technologies that all these will have a meaning and understanding, because mankind is so physical, he has to have something, and then you always start copying. And in that process of trying to copy, you'll reach my station. Because this time, we are not teaching you physicality. This time, I teach you the fields. That's what I kept on telling you. Don't look at the guns, look at the fields it creates. You didn't listen? No, I found a different way to do. I'm a very good teacher, and I listen good. This is part of the structure we set. Now, with this dispensation, the knowledge, the science, and the faith become one. And this is the beauty of it. And through it, you learn. With it, you grow. And amongst it, you flourish. And this is the part of the life we have chosen, not you. I can strive and change everything with one stroke. It's within my power. This is something I know well enough. But what does it do? Take you to a scene, you'll become back again a man. Because it wasn't done by choice. It was done for you by understanding of nothing as a free gift. And this is what we're trying to avoid this time. You gift yourself, not a free gift from us. You gift yourself the knowledge, the understanding, and as you are a human, very simple. You make your systems. Because you made the systems, you believe in it and you live by it. It's very simple. We see your joys, we see your weaknesses, we encourage both of them to become their strength. So simple. I don't teach religion. I show you how to make systems, and all of you know, if you have found the right way, to be your own prophet, because now you can produce what you need, and you can test what conditions you can create, be it emotion, be it technology. This is the secret. We can create the soul, the structure of the soul, and it's done by you, that you're in charge and no one has charge over it. The freedom to travel this planet of the universe. And those who are afraid, they're frightened of you, or make you to fear that this is wrong with the Keshe Foundation, that's wrong with this is what it is, because they know the slavery of the man is over. By science and technology, by you understanding the science of it, and by you creating the technology for it. As I said very recently, universe is a beautiful place. This just needs the desire to be part of it. It's like a love affair. You desire to be with your loved one, you'll find a way to get there, and you find a way that when you get there, you can tell you love your lover. And this is the same. You find a way, you have to strive a way to reach, to understand your creator through the structure of the soul of the man, which is you who's made it. Now you have to understand it, and then the path is clear. And in between, we have shown you ways. Any other question?
We have Stefania with the hand up here. Go ahead, Stefania.
Good evening, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, Mr. Keshe. I just wanted to say, I want to make one question, but before to make this question, I just wanted to say that, listen, you're talking. Yesterday, I've been to two teachings. One actually was an interview called The Universal Couch from a knowledge seeker from Brazil. And then I went into the Italian teaching, and I have to say, we stayed like 4 hours, we went teaching, and the Italian teaching, even Italian teaching went long, so it must be 4 hours each teaching or something like that. But what I found out was this, that in the interview before, there were people from all over the world. We were all knowledge seekers, and we came to this beauty where there was these feelings that we all just wanted to share knowledge with one another. And we all felt that that was the right way. And we were all so happy to be in this platform and talk about it and share it, no? Our own understanding or interpretation of your teaching. And somehow we went on and on and on, and people were coming to the teaching. I thought we were about to finish, others were coming in, continuous. When I thought was about to finish, other people come in. We kind of stayed 5 hours, I think, at the end. The time flew, and we were so happy, and everyone was so happy, so much that we all decided to do it again next week. And then I left them, and knowing that the Italian teaching was already going on, and I was really funny because it was quite late by this time, and I could choose or going to bed, but I couldn't go to bed. Something inside me, I thought, no. I just wanted to just listen to the Italian teaching and see how they're doing it, not. So I just couldn't go to bed, even though I had a long day, very early in the morning, but I knew they were fine. There was no problem because I told them, any problem, just let me know, no? If you have any issue, because sometimes, we need to have a cluster and things like that. I went into the Italian teaching and it was the same. They stayed for hours, they stayed longer, and we came to this state where it was very beautiful, because between us we have some new knowledge seekers, some old knowledge seekers, and all the knowledge seekers, they were very happy to share their knowledge. And the new knowledge seekers, they were so happy to be in a place where everyone's just share knowledge freely, because we are all, we're all volunteers. We all do this from, we don't, we all choose this position, no? So it was such, again, and the ironic things was that they were been talking about the same things that we were talking in the other teaching. I thought, my God, this telepathy, I don't know how it happened, but they were going through similar experience of what we were going through with the people from Brazil, from other parts of the world. And somehow I thought, this looked like we all connected. I know we are connected, but it showed. And even the feelings, even them, they stayed very late, past midnight, and they were so happy, even them, and they were so happy to be in a platform where they can share knowledge freely with one another. We clearly, people were caring for each others. Clearly, people were have this love between each others. And again, there was these feelings, really. So again, I couldn't go to sleep. So I had to, it was very beautiful to kind of, and I didn't know how, I was not tired. It was very strange. So anyway, and to me, yesterday, for the first time, I understood, because Jalar actually, I don't know, sometimes you hear things 100 times, but there will be a certain time where they're going through your filter of the brain. And yesterday, I had these things where, for the first time, I really understood, I think I understood, the mixing of the interaction we have between us. It kind of, it's like Jalara said it beautifully. It's like by being connected, we sharing this energy between us, and because we have the same wish, and you know, we understand each other's, and we wish the same things. Somehow this energy is become as one big, huge, massive energy. And yesterday, I kind of had kind of feelings for the first time. I had feelings of that by going in these two different teachings, and really, I really felt this was this energy that was very strong, just from love and care, like you said, just sharing knowledge, loving and cares. Very simple, not complicated. So it was very, very, very beautiful. So I want to share this. And then my question is this: I'm confused now, because I heard you saying that when you think to the elevation of your soul, you're lost. And I'm confused now, because so the question for me is this, because yesterday as well, I was sharing with the other knowledge seeker. I was saying to them, when you wish the elevation of yourself, because you cannot steal it from your own self. This is my understanding, no? You need to learn to love yourself. This is the number one thing, because if you don't know how to love yourself, how can you love others? So I always my idea was that when I said I wish the elevation of myself, was like I need to learn how to love myself, and I cannot steal from myself, because I'm always stealing from myself, and so I cannot. Then if I love myself, I can love others, and because we're one, we all elevated as one. So even yesterday, I said this to the other knowledge seeker, believing this was correct. But today, you said that if you think to the elevation of your own soul, you're lost. And now I'm confused.
If you're there to gain for yourself what you do, you're lost. So you're back in the materialistic world.
Can you repeat again what you just said?
I said, if you're there to serve that you gain something out of it, you're already lost. That's what it means.
Okay, yeah, clear now. Okay, so understood. So if I think elevation for myself, for my own benefit, then when I'm lost. But if I think like elevation of myself, because I know we are one, and the moment that I am getting elevated, everyone gets elevated, that is different.
Depends how you look at it, because you're still looking in your pocket. As long as you don't, as long as...
No, but this is important for me. How do I look into my own pocket?
Oh, you said if I get elevated because I elevate the others,
No. To me, it's like this. It's not I elevate the others. No. To me, it's more. It's like buying. Get to know my soul, or get to know myself, and care about myself, and love about myself. Then I automatically understand. Automatically, somehow, it's like when you're angry. During the day, sometimes you're angry for nothing, okay? And what I understood when you're angry is because you didn't do your homework. And then you think it's because of other people. So this is what I'm starting to learn now, that if I'm angry, it's because I'm being negligent to look after my own self. And what I understood, if I take time to don't steal from my own self, I'm not angry because I take time.
but the thing is, is not stealing from yourself or the others, is understanding what you do brings elevation to the others. This
Okay.
is the
Yeah.
this
So
is the
what
difference,
I'm
and then
learning,
you assess and judge the rest of it.
what I'm
This
learning
is
now, for example, my experience, direct experience, is this: every time I teach, not teach, sorry, it's wrong word. Every time I share what I know or what I understand, for example, every time I go to the Zoom, and there is a time where someone asks me something and I share what I understood, my interpretation, or when I translate live, for example, or when I do something that maybe sometimes at the beginning I didn't really want to do, but I said, come on, Stefania, this is not just for your own good, no? For example, I make example. Yesterday, someone asked me, he make me understand he needed some help. I was a little bit in a rush. I didn't see this person for a long time. And at the beginning, the first thing I said to him, I'll see you on Saturday and I'll see if I can help you with that. Then a second, he wanted to buy me a cup of tea anyway, because he didn't see me for a long time, thanks me for other things. When he went to take a cup of tea, I thought to myself, why, Stefania, you are here now. Why, I know you want to do that things now, but this person, he needs some help. You're here now. Why you just don't do it now? So I put on the side my need, personal need, and I
think I'm going to stop you there. I'm going to stop you there.
But what happens is I felt good all day when I feel stronger when I do things not just for myself. This is what I wanted to say. This is what I'm understanding with all this. But you wanted to stop me?
No, it's just that you keep on going, but don't understand where you're going. But
Okay,
that's usual with you. That's
Yeah,
good. I
yeah,
understand a lot of it.
Yeah.
Something which Stefania brought up is the new teaching, which is going on the private teaching, in actually to do everything from the basic. And this has started with Jalal. We're trying to find a way with Rick and Sani how we could bring this to still be part of the teaching of the main teaching, but as they are teaching the basic for the knowledge seekers, students of KFSSI, to be brought into public domain as part of the basic teaching. And hopefully sooner or later we find a way to do it, that it becomes part of, but doesn't become another separate section to be. Now we can fully understand and be able to what we call check the knowledge that has become the raw material teaching. The wrong things, or not the wrong things, the wrong way of doing things does not become part of, because even though it looks good when it's made, but it could have some faults in it, and or it could have beautiful benefits we've never seen before. Either way you look at it. But this private teaching of teaching from basic practical, literally how to make them nanoplates and everything else, is going on in the private teaching on Wednesday, which Stefania is talking about. And somewhere when you go for hours and hours, it cannot become part of the Keshe Foundation teaching platform on Tuesdays or Wednesdays with Rick, or Thursdays with us. Or it can be compressed, that it could be half an hour in different teachings. We can bring it in that a lot of knowledge seekers learn the basic, and this is what Jalal is doing in the background. We just haven't found the balance where to put it, or how to condense these teachings into a public teaching, maybe on a Thursday or a Wednesday or a Tuesday for half an hour, that the week before teaching is condensed and is put out. But it's actually those who want to understand the basic of the A to Z of the what we call how to make nanoplates, and physical part of it, because Rick's part is very advanced. The people already in there, they're testing new things. This is actually how to make things. There is a message just been sent by the IT. It's from Zara Martin. He says, hello, Mr. Keshe. Also, we test and test of the death. Quran. So we all gonna taste, and we taste this death. Even the angels of death, peace be upon him. You came here to teach the knowledge with respect, Mr. Keshe. Are you meant to be buried in Medina? We have never been buried. We live in the dimension of the soul. And a physical body is in essence of the man. And in totality, we are travelers of time. And in reality, we choose the time, the place, and the physicality which we decide to manifest ourselves within. So, is it buried in Medina? Is it still unknown where it is? Or is it buried? We don't know where it is. In either state, it's a state of the knowledge of the man and understanding of the truth. If I'm correct, what the gentleman is referring to, or the lady, is, are you the soul of Muhammad, bless his name? In physicality, the physical body always is left behind. It's the soul of the Creator which moves from dimension to dimension. And in so many times, if the Creator has spent so much time on this planet, there has been a reason. Not only for this, but for the totality of the creation. Maybe I have answered you. Souls never die. And in souls we live, we teach, and we manifest.
Beautiful answer, Mr. Keshe. I was just trying to answer his question, whether we can ask that question for him and so on. Perfect, thank you. There's one other question in the YouTube that I'd like you to answer, which from Alexandra Perez, who says, hello, Mr. Keshe, I'm from Brazil. My question is, how can we connect with our freedom from physicality? How can we achieve this condition right now? Thanks.
It's all a state of mind. It's all a state of mind. And in how we decide to operate within that state of mind. In essence, we live the life through the soul, but we can choose to live in the life in the dimension of the physicality when we choose. This is the beauty of the new cycle. The beauty of the new, what we call essence of living, being part of. And then the choice is yours. It's very much, if you look, The lady in the beginning, in part of the session today, referred to part of our teaching is like the Baha'i teaching. I was brought up in the Baha'i family, but I never agreed with the ethos. The way was changed by those who follow. In a way, as I was in it, created it, how could I understand the misconduct? And I do not agree with none of what the Baha'i faith stands for today, in what shape or form, as they have broken the agreement with the Creator to the benefit of them. In essence, this path was to guide man to freedom, and he got abused by those who thought they have reached the pinnacle of doing whatever they like. Never served what it was set and what I set it up to be. The same greed, the same misconduct, the same arrangement as before. Gather wealth and power and abuse it when the man needs to use it. And this is the same. None of the religions ever stood for what I set them up for. And the Baha'is went worse than the others in a shorter time. In a shorter time. My agreement was peace and for all. Not greed to gather and stash away like the others. Building buildings, put temples from the sweat of the others was a job of the path. It was not the way we set it to be. And that has become the main. Building more temples to believe in nothing. My path does not go and has been away for years, as it's not the way we set it to be. But in ethos, the teaching is the same with all the religions, as we wrote all of them in the same way, according to the understanding and the intelligence of the man at the time and the place. Man should be strong enough to know when it's wrong and the way it's done the wrong way. The word have lost their meanings in bricks and mortar, with the same as the others. The belief was to bring equality of all has become the biggest misconduct of all. The only difference is again back in Jerusalem. Any other question? When you see a misconduct, when you see something wrong, you have to be strong enough to stand it and walk away from it. And this is what happened with me and the Baha'i faith. I walked away as a misconduct is beyond imagination, in the name and the cover of religion. Same as others. What's the next question?
Okay, we've got Caleb, who had a question in the Q&A regarding, he mentioned the word religion has been making things unnecessarily difficult for humans. Does the good sir know about the teaching of the unity of witnessing of the Ahmad Sirhindi?
Never heard of him.
Sirhindi.
Never heard of him. As I said, I'm a very illiterate man when it comes to these things. I just had the privilege to be with few prophets. The others who claim things that I don't have had no time with.
Thank you. Maria asks, Mr. Keshe, is the event that the time of dwelling for mankind is over caused by the solar lightning? Thank you. Love, Maria.
What do you want to blame it on? Blame it on. It doesn't matter. The solar flare, somebody sneezed. What is your excuse to believe in it?
Thank you. Jackie mentions the Trump Chief of Staff Meadows has tested positive for COVID-19 this week.
Yes, but they didn't tell anyone, apparently, and all shook hands with him, and everybody's in problem, as they didn't have enough problem in the White House.
Well, if you close your eyes and plug your ears, don't things just go away?
Well, apparently it does, because don't forget, these people have access to latest technologies and medicine to be helped with. Have we finished for today? We should call it a day. We're nearly 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope these teachings, which have started in understanding the emotion and the position and the presence, will start taking shape and a meaning for you in coming weeks, as you gradually start seeing the totality of the picture. You think you know everything about the physical life. Now, understanding the work of the soul is much simpler, but in a way, I made myself in the image of whatever, man, or whatever. In that process, is man to understand the truth about his own creation. And we are in that process. Not only we start teaching you, we start showing you technologies which brings that to a meaningful end and to a full understanding. We are not here to elevate, we are here to make it easier for you to understand, to elevate yourself. Elevating the knowledge of the universe, and the knowledge that will change you for better. To be a better human being, to be a better soul in serving the others. And many people would not like the path, as they have to give up a lot of bad habits of the past. But in a way, at the end, we have always won, and we will win. Thank you very much for today, and hopefully we see each other next week and the week after, till we take man into the dimension of universal community, which is the understanding of soul of himself. Thank you very much for today.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. And thanks to everyone for their questions and comments today. If you have any questions left over, please bring them into the next workshop. And what do we have? We have the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace coming up on Tuesday of next week at 4 p.m. Central European Time. And not sure, there's a lot of other public and private teachings as well going on through the week. For people that are interested, there's many ways of finding out. Just get in contact through the Keshe Foundation or through various media. Okay, thanks everyone. This will end the 354th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, November 12th, 2020. See you next time.
Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. KesheFoundation.org/donate